Okay, what's up guys? So another tech video. Basically I have my Cane Creek DB coil shock here, really great shock, and what I'm looking to do is up my spring size. Now normally with Cane Creek shocks you'd then buy the Cane Creek spring. These come in two types. You've got the standard steel spring and then you've got the Volt steel spring. Both of them are quite spenny and they only come in black. I actually really like the Rockshox springs because they're red, which goes with my bike, and from riding both I find that the Rockshox spring feels slightly more progressive. I'm not sure if it's the way they make it or the materials, but anyway, I want to fit this Rockshox spring to the Cane Creek shock. Having had a search online, I couldn't find a huge amount about how people can do it or what they could do, so I've done a bit of a kind of a search and bought some things, and I'll show you two different ways that you can then make a Rockshox spring fit a Cane Creek shock. So the first one, this is the way that I would probably recommend, is that basically Nukeproof actually do these spring reducers. So the main problem you have with the spring sizes is that they're basically two different internal diameters. So the Rockshox spring has a 38mm internal diameter and the Cane Creek springs have 36, so you've got about 1mm either side. That means the spring will sort of wobble around and not fit properly. What these spring reducers do, they just take that millimetre from the inside and then they close the gap, so they fit perfectly right on the end of each side of the spring. You then slot it onto the shock, it then bridges the gap and fits perfectly. You then stick your end caps on, do your spring, awesome. The second way, so once you've unscrewed this, now this is a little bit of a bodge, and if you can find this spring reducer kit, I 100% recommend that you do that, but if you can't find it, this is a way that I initially worked out I could do the first time around. I run it for a few weeks and didn't have any problems. So this is also an option. So basically at the top you put your spring on and you've got a mil or so of play. You can fix this by doing, if you cut yourself a slice of inner tube, maybe sort of 12 centimeters by about 1. You go to the top of your shock, stick it on and wind it around. This then does essentially the same job as what that was doing. You've still got enough of that it's going to support the spring, and the spring's not going to burst over the top. Keep that under tension and then slide your spring on and do a twisting motion which keeps the rubber in place. Now that's on, there's now no movement up top, it's filled the gap, and also you can't really see it either. So that's one end. Another interesting thing is that the coil seat from the Rockshox coil shocks actually has the same internal diameter for around the shaft as the Cane Creek one, it's just slightly fatter to support the bigger spring. So this fits perfectly onto the end of the Cane Creek shock. So keeping it tension on the end and twist up, make sure both the winder and the spring are turning at the same time, so you're not then unwinding all the delicate work you've just done on your inner tube. Perfectly. So there we go, right, there's the second way of doing it. So at the top you've still got enough of this collar to catch the spring, it's not going to burst out, but the bottom we've actually got a Rockshox coil seat on a Cane Creek shock, and I think these actually look better because they're fatter and they have these sort of notches cut out of them as well, which is really cool. My final way I would recommend, basically it's about, I found that for £5 on eBay, and this was £5 from Chain Reaction. I would combine the two, so you have the Rockshox coil seat on the bottom and then the spring reducer on the top. This will then be the absolute perfect setup, and nothing can go wrong. Right, thanks for watching guys, like and subscribe.